God, no, it'll be a long time.
That was my son-in-law.
Did he do the Ironman?
No, he did an Ironman over at the same time as he here.
The Spud Run?
Spud Run.
Whatever it was, and then he rode in on Patriot Ride Sunday.
Were you down there?
No,
No.
I was out on the range throwing people off because my rare quality hit 261.
Ooh.
Tiffany,
Yeah,
can you hear
I was
me?
there. It was a pretty good turnout for it being rescheduled. So
Councilwoman Workla, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Which is cleared up. I couldn't guess.
your handsome.
I'm not.
faces.
Well, you got speed. That's why I move. It's not who stands in front of the flag, who stands behind it.
No, we can shift the flags. I just was putting them there until everyone walked.
We don't have to do that.
Oh, we'll just move in that direction.
Employed. Okay, so I should be, why can I not doing this? This is not making sense to me.
No, you're good. Oh, and then I'm gonna hold this one. He's not showing up. Had a death in the family. And then I'm gonna see if time's permitted, if we can move the commissioners up sooner. But if not, then all good in the hood. They don't, because yeah, yeah,
Nine, so it's. And my DEXA scan showed that I have.
Okay, so
percentile of muscular density, so more muscular than.
is it not the one? What's going on here? Annoying.
A little bit. I mean, it wasn't his job. It wasn't his technician, you know, with a PhD. But he's a technician. He's not there giving advice. He was like, what you have, like I have no problem. Subcutaneous, it's the muscular density.
Oh, my wife does. Isn't it pretty?
I didn't see it. Oh, that was,
Look right out front.
okay, that was you?
A Can-Am Spider, that's
Yeah.
hers.
Oh, really?
Yep, and the weirdest thing was she's wanted one of those things for decades. And she keeps looking, of course, picking something that's not brand new off the floor, you always worry about maintenance. Well, come to find out, a colleague of hers lived over in Rigby, Idaho Falls area. Put that one up on Facebook
You didn't
Marketplace.
even shake my hand.
Very debated
You
about
didn't
it.
say
So I called him.
Firefighters.
As soon as he realized who it was he was talking to, it's like,
Hear you.
where you get
So that's kind of
down the bank, said,
I
I'd like to
can't
have it.
reach
I said,
this.
Go ahead.
Can you bring this?
So she's in the process of getting her
Endorsement.
about as close as I can
motorcycle endorsement.
This
the
system-
rider's course for that
When we
Type of
want it redone, like
machine.
it's not.
And I've had my license for motorcycles.
One of the things that I
That
think
one considered a motorcycle then?
first.
You have to have a motorcycle license.
Have somebody come back in.
I didn't know that.
We'll do like a mock.
That's cool.
And
What's
then-
going on there?
Like,
know,
And we
just
picked up
like
helmets,
sitting around, like speaking.
got the
into
comm
it to see
systems,
if
and
we
we'll
can
put
get
it to them
it.
later this week. So we have,
Those are great.
oh yeah,
Right, so.
And you'll
And then I
have
kept this
Bluetooth.
off the sentence. Yeah.
Bluetooth the phone and also
Yeah,
has.
no, and I have
Up
a
to 10
terrible habit of like
Bluetooth
doing
connect
this.
through
I
the
also like to try and read. And
a range of about 1.5
I'll,
miles.
I'll try and,
That's great.
I'll try and speak into it a little more.
Oh, how are you?
I didn't realize I was sitting next to you. I was like, who's this young lady next to me?
Yeah, the young lady with the gray hair. He wished.
Hey, buddy.
How you doing?
Good, brother. Long time no see. How you been? Life good?
I'm not the big topic.
No. Yeah, we got a fire chief getting sworn in tonight. So we'll have him go and
Yeah.
thunder out.
I have missed you.
Yeah, yeah.
All good in the
Don't
world?
do much anymore.
It's all good. How you doing? I'm all good.
The first whole week I worked in so far this week in the entire month of July.
Really?
Good for you.
I've been off
I
like
have to say.
either Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Thursday, Friday. And
Years.
That's awesome.
like, also we
Yeah.
were traveling from
Okay.
the end of June.
I just noticed I don't have I mean, I love you, but I'm okay
Hey,
with the rest.
Mayor,
of
it's Councilman Workala.
because
Can you hear me?
Other people.
Yes, ma'am.
Would
But
Decker
yeah,
want
the
to sit,
typical just
would
day in,
Councilman
day out
Sanders want to sit
of
in
you
my
and I.
seat because he's
It hasn't been
hiding
much
behind
lately.
the flags?
We're gonna move those here really quick. It might be.
Okay.
Council Workleman, it's not who stands in front of the flag, it's who stands behind it.
It just looks like you're calling in remotely too.
He's got a face for radio.
Oh, dang.
I see, said the blind man as he spoke to the deaf mute.
Yes. I'm gonna take
Okay,
almost a week off.
I have no video.
This is my
Going now,
baby.
that might help.
ASU. Go down there.
Boo, 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 boo.
It'll be a long.
Pay no attention
drive.
to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
You got sworn in?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
you're-
I'm really proud of her.
First vice,
and
second
she's in the
vice?
honors.
You're the next. Second vice or third vice? Just a trustee? I don't mind the trustees. You've done it 3 or 4 times. Yeah. It's not so bad, but the hard part is when you have so many meetings. And then it's like, and usually everyone steps up and will help you, but sometimes when you're on the go all the time, or if I've got something, I go, hey, King, we gotta go here or there, and then it's like, you get pulled in so many different directions. She's finally like, now she goes, I just need to focus on my work. She's busy. We're gonna move them.
Pay no attention to him.
So I'm just sitting there.
But it's a lot. In any organization, it seems like it's like the Pareto effect. 10% of the people do 90% of the work, and it's the hard part where it's like, come on, everyone, help.
And I'm sitting there.
Yeah. And Brian and Anita and Chelsea and all them, they do a phenomenal job of keeping the energy going. Because it's weird how everything evolves. Like all the older Lions, you know what I mean, and they're tired, and so, but with that. Brian and Anita and Chelsea and all the rest of them would have that energy. It's good. So you always have to try to find those people that have that energy to keep it going. It's hard.
Yeah.
Yep. I've been sick last 3 days and
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm
going to
going
the
down.
him and Hurl and I just trying to fight something. And well, that's what I've been doing. And so, yeah, I go home and I put my leg up, I sit, and then that makes me sick. It's like, hell. No. I'll be glad when I get back to normal routine.
Fit into his car. The most important thing, I think it's part.
We started leaning us.
But it is out there. We haven't been out there.
Great numbers.
You ready? All right. We'll call the meeting to order. Tiffany, please take the roll.
Councilman Harjo,
Present.
Councilwoman Workla,
Present.
Councilman McCarthy,
Present.
Councilman Sanders,
Present.
Mayor Sykes.
President, let the record reflect that we do have a quorum for Tuesday, July 28, 2026. We're going to run down to recognizing persons in the audience. Please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. The purpose of this agenda item is to provide an opportunity for members of the public to address the city council on matters that are not listed on the current agenda and are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the municipal purview of the city. Comments may not involve personnel matters, legal disputes, or private non-municipal affairs of the constituency. Comments regarding planning or zoning and land use issues may only be made during properly noticed public hearing. Would anybody like to get up and speak for 3 minutes?
Your mic is cutting in and out. Have you seen it? It always does. Hello again, Dara Corvus, resident of Mountain Home. And I am representing myself for this. I'm just going to read this as fast as I can to stay under the 3 minutes. So I was at the Elmore County Commissioner meeting, and I'm very thankful they are on top of monitoring and restricting the use of Elmore land for the data centers. They understand the harms of these centers, and I'm here to make sure everyone else understands the issues of the centers regarding environment, wildlife, and people. I hope all agencies that have a say in these developments work together to halt the collaboration of these large corporations. Noise. Data center generates noise levels that exceed 90 decibels. 85 or more are harmful to hearing. Vibrations also disrupt the wildlife. Light pollution. Hyperscale facilities require all-night lighting that disrupts the natural rhythms of the body. Light pollution is also disrupting migration patterns and habitat development among birds, butterflies, bats, to name a few. Data centers, especially gas-powered data centers, emit significant pollutants and fine particle matter into the air. These pollutants increase the risk of respiratory diseases, cardiovascular diseases, and they elevate cancer risk. A large data center can use up to 5 million gallons of water a day. Even a closed-loop system leaks harmful metals into the ground or the water. Power. Inconsistent power and strain on the power grid, creating surges, which affects residential appliances such as HVAC, refrigerators, and computers, to name a few that are not cheap. Data centers typically don't pay for their fair share in utilities. You can get this information from the environmentalhealthproject.org. And now on to flock cameras. Flock cameras takes data and travel history of people, which I and many others see as a violation of Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. There is currently lawsuits all over the U.S. Twin Falls are up in arms trying to remove them. Flock cameras aren't being used for just license plate reading, since they are placed up in parks, buildings, and other pedestrian locations. Since these cameras are used nationwide, the information is also often accessible between agencies and states, creating an environment for misuse by bad players, as there have already been arrests for stalking. ACLU shows that Flock Camera Company has also lied to local officials to get their cameras into position. All of this seems like a hassle to reverse, and I, and probably many others, think it's just better not to have them in the city to begin with. And then a common quote that's going around regarding the Flock cameras is from Benjamin Franklin. Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserves neither liberty or safety. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. We're going to run down to conflict of interest declaration. Has any council member received information pertaining to or otherwise had in contact with any person regarding any items on the city council agenda? If so, please set forth nature of contact.
Mayor.
Councilman Harjo?
I received an email from Stephen Field regarding consent item number 10.
Is that
No conflict of interest.
okay? All
Mayor,
right. Councilwoman Workla?
same. I received an email from Stephen File regarding number 10 of the consent agenda, no conflict of interest. Also, Rod Dudley emailed me regarding questions on the DEQ bonds under water and wastewater on the bill run. And I'll just ask those questions when we come to that part of the agenda.
Copy that. Mayor. Councilman McCarthy?
Same.
Okay. Okay. What we're going to do, council, really quick is if so, all right, I'm going to swap the swearing in of Joel Waters and Vincent, if that's cool, Vincent. Yeah. Good. Okay. So with that, I'm going to turn over Tiff.
Thank you. All right, you're gonna raise your right hand and repeat after me. State your name.
I, Joel Waters,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
Constitution and laws of the state of Idaho,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Idaho,
and that I will faithfully discharge all duties
and faithfully discharge all duties
of fire chief for the city of Mountain Home, Idaho,
of chief of the city of Mountain Home
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best.
I told you, but. Make sure it's the right way.
Trying to get Decker out.
Okay, now just get a
called
picture.
Photoshop.
Now get a picture of me.
Thank you.
I'm the mayor.
But don't need a picture of me.
One of them.
So, with this, who am I looking at? There you go, my friend.
Have to wear it.
And then, with that, floor is yours. You're welcome.
Appreciate it. I do have a few things written down. I'd like to. Good evening to everybody. Mayor, members of city council, fellow firefighters, family, and friends. Thank you for being here. First, I'd like to start off by thanking Chief Moore for his 32 years of service. Thank you, Chief. Standing here today being sworn in as your fire chief is both the greatest honor of my lifetime. I will carry this honor and protect it with everything I have. I'm deeply grateful to the mayor for his confidence he's placed in me, and I accept this position with humility, pride, and unwavering commitment. I want to recognize the men and women of this fire department, past and present, who dedicated their lives and built the strong foundation we stand on today. I've had the privilege of serving beside some of the greatest fire chiefs there is. My fire chief back home, Chief Jack Loney, and Assistant Fire Chief Alan Denham. I thank you for your support. As the fire chief, my priorities are clear: to protect this community with excellence, to support and develop these firefighters, and strengthen the public's trust. We will lead with compassion, we will lead with unity, and we will honor tradition while keeping embracing progress. And above all, we'll never forget that the badge represents service before self. Thank you again to the mayor, city leadership, and my fellow firefighters, everybody gathered here today. I am honored and I'm proud to serve as your fire chief. Thank you.
It sucks.
Not lately they have.
To the fire members that are here tonight, thank you. Thank you for showing your willingness to one, see Chief Moore and to follow in what he's like done for the last 32 years too, to see the new chief come in. I appreciate you guys taking your time. Slick or Commissioner Jewett, thank you for hours of going through all sorts of fire candidates. I'd like to thank Chris Curtis, Tiffany Belt, Paula Safransky, Daniel Mercado, obviously Slick Jewett for the committee that was put together. It was there was a lot of phenomenal candidates, and there was and so hopefully we've actually, I know we've made the right choice. I look forward to seeing what you do, Chief Waters. And then in closing, thank you to the council. Thank you for allowing, I get to choose or put one forward, but at the end of the day, it's the council that confirms that appointment. So with that, Joel, I think it was a 4-0 confirmation. And so obviously they have a faith in you. I know if a few might have called you or whatnot and gave you the grilling and all that good stuff, but I think I can probably say with all clarity that we look forward to seeing what you bring to the table. And I know that your firefighters will look forward to seeing what you bring to the fight as well. And I know your main mission is public safety, the citizen, and making sure every fireman or fire member goes home at night as well. So to the firemen and women that are here, thank you. Thank you for showing up and showing your support. That means the world to me, and I'm sure it means the world to Chief Waters. So thank you. All right. Now, y'all don't have to stay if you don't want to. I'm sure I think it's customary that the chief buys the first round, right? All right, we're gonna run down to presentation. Yep, Vincent, you're all good, brother. Come on down. So, really quick, Vincent, I got to give more a hard time. You're making him shoulder that cost, huh? Not you. You're making him shoulder that cost, huh? All joking aside. There you go. All right, Vincent, the floor is yours, my friend.
Well, I didn't know I was going to go after that. That's a pretty hard act to follow. That was some awesome words that your new chief had to say, and just seems like from my 1 minute interaction, you guys made a good choice. But thank you. Thanks for the time, members of Mayor Sykes and members of the Mountain Home City Council. I was asked by Chris Curtis, who unfortunately I think is sick and not here today, but a great partner of ours with ITD and guy that we interact with quite a bit. And we really appreciate all that your public works director does for us. So I just want to kind of state that as well. But he asked us to come in here today and give a bit of a funding update that we gave at a recent meeting of all the jurisdictions here in Elmore County. And so I'll start with that, and then I'll just hit a couple of high projects that I know you'll probably ask me about, and then I guess I'll leave the floor for you. I didn't notice how much time do I have?
How much do you want?
Well, 10 minutes? No, I'll talk for about 10 minutes, and then I'll turn the floor over to you guys, and you can ask me all the questions you'd like. So first and foremost, I think everybody knows by now, it's been pretty heavily covered in the media locally and statewide about the reduction in funding for ITD and you yourselves for all of our local jurisdictions across the state as well. First off, I think it's important. I've never been here before, and maybe just give you a little background about what ITD District 3 does. So my name is Vincent Trimboli, and I'm the Deputy Administrator for District 3. ITD has 6 transportation districts spread across the state, and we're the largest in many ways. A quarter of the state's land is in District 3, a third of our lane miles, 2/3 of the population growth since 2000. And, we've all seen since 2000, the population in our district alone has doubled from about 500,000 to just over 1 million people now. And that's within the 10 county area. And I can go through all the counties if you want, but it's basically, we go all the way up to just north of McCall, south of here to Nevada, over to Glens Ferry, and then over to Oregon. So it's the big corner of Idaho. And, there's a lot of funding needs. And so this year, the legislature had some tough choices to make. They made some cuts. It's probably best for me just to give you a quick rundown of how ITD is funded. So ITD receives funding through 4 sources. We receive gas taxes, both one from the state, right? So with every gallon of gas, we get a percentage of that, and it goes into a dedicated fund that supports transportation. So those are our state funds. We also get a portion of the federal gas tax, and we are actually a donee state. So we get about $1 and I want to say 50 something cents from the federal government here to Idaho with every gallon of gas that's purchased. And the reason why we're a donee state and not a donor state, somebody that's getting less than every $1, is because of the interstate that we have and what that means to transporting goods and services around this country, and the regionality of our interstate just for moving people as well. So we get a little bit more than we actually put in, which is a good thing. And this last year, I think our contract construction budget was over $500,000. So that's the amount of construction work that we did around the state. The other types of funding we receive are 2 different types of general funds, and those funds are a little new to us. About 7 or 8 years ago, we started to receive general funds. They take money off the, I think it's up to 2% now of the general funds that goes into what they call the Transportation Expansion and Congestion Mitigation Program. And up to $80 million of that fund can be used to bond for transportation projects, which is essentially taking a mortgage out and then paying it back over. I think our current bonds are about 25 years. And that $80 million has produced over $1 billion. And those projects are pretty much already underway across the state. Some have been finished. Some of the bigger ones you might know are like the work we're doing on State Highway 16 or any of the work that we've already done on US 2026, Chinden Avenue in the Caldwell area, along with State Highway 55, Karcher. Some of the bigger projects that are happening right now around the valley are funded through TECM. And the other source of general fund, which is the one, well, let me also mention too, anything over $80 million to the TECM fund then goes to the locals. So you guys share in some of that as well. Anybody that serves transportation to their community. And then there's also a fourth general fund source, which has been some surplus over the last few years, called Strategic Leading Idaho, Strategic Initiatives Leading Idaho. And that's the money that 3 years ago was $310 million, and the last few years it's been $275 million, and that's split 60-40 between the locals and the state of Idaho. So the ITD gets 60%. And that for the last 2 years has been about $165 million. So the state had a budget they needed to balance. They had about a $500 million shortfall. And so one of the big areas that was easy, I think, at the time and helped them make that shortfall up was to remove the $265 million for this year. That money that came through the general fund, the STLI, Strategic Initiatives Leading Idaho, was annually appropriated. But for ITD's sake, we couldn't just, annually appropriate it. We had to make it go over the 7 years of our budget, which we call the Idaho Transportation Investment Program, or the ITIP. And that's how we fund our projects through the 7-year program. We put them in an out year, and then we develop them up until the time that they're ready, the funding year they have, and then we build the projects, whatever they may be. And so, unfortunately, we had to then pull that money out of our budget, which netted over $1 billion. And so that has reduced, the state's budget for funding by about 18%. But really, those projects, that money was being used for capacity type projects. It was being used for some of those TECM projects we already heard about. It was, we don't just fund our projects with one source. Many of them are funded sometimes by 2 or 3 different sources. We federalize most of our major projects, so we can use federal money on them as well. So, but it was pretty key to some of those TECM projects. So we did also get authority to increase the bonding in the TECM program by 20 million, 40 million, and 60 million. So 3 consecutive years starting last year. And so we have not bonded yet for the $40 million that we have now, although we can use that money essentially like cash and use it to pay things down. So we still have that, which is really good. And they added some other things in the legislature this year, like increasing the STAR program up to $100 million and raising the lower end of that between 10. So that's a program where people can, commercial businesses can essentially be paid back the sales tax that they receive for putting money up front to fund a transportation improvement. We did that with several times down in the valley, most notably with the Costco's, where they'll put up, the money, fund the improvement, and then they get paid back about 60 cents on every dollar that they collect until they've repaid themselves back for that upfront investment. So that was a big thing as well. So the long and the short is that right now we lost about 12 projects in this district that were pulled out. I'll talk about one of them here in a little bit, and that's the project that we have started the development side of on the interstate from exit 90 to exit 95, which includes, we're scoping it now as well to replace the interchange there, which is one of a handful of interchanges still in our district that were built in the 1960s under when Eisenhower built the national freeway system, right? So it definitely needs to be replaced. And so that's a project that I'll talk about here in just a minute. But I think one of the things we'd like to underscore with this message is in the past that when this happens, the department will go to what we call an OPRE model. And that's kind of what we're going here now is we're going to focus on operations, restorations of highways, maintenance, as well as an expansion being the fourth piece. But we aren't stopping the development of these projects. So we're going to continue to develop the 90 to 95 project on the interstate. We've got $7 million next year, starting in October, at least in the current program update, to continue to move that project forward. So that I think we've learned from the past that when we've done development up front, trying to get things developed early, even though some people say, why would you let a project sit on the shelf for a few years? Well, the net result of that is State Highway 16. The net result of that will be, when we fully widen Chinden from Eagle Road to the interstate. We worked hard to get those projects ready up front. So when the money was there, we as a district were ready to capture that. And we've done that successfully, and the state is doing that as well now, not just in District 3, but across the state. There's quite a few projects that are on that list of about 68 statewide got pulled off. But many of them, especially the widening projects, are going to continue to move forward on the development side and corridor study work. I'll talk about a corridor study that we're working on too that definitely impacts the city of Mountain Home. So that's kind of the long and the short of the funding. I'll stop there if there are any questions, and then I'll talk about a couple of projects and give you gentlemen and council member, how do you say it? Workala, a chance to ask me questions. Any questions on the funding, Mayor?
Not for me so far. You're doing great.
Okay, great. So let's talk about I-84 exit 90 to exit 95. The project is currently unfunded. It has been funded over the last couple of years. It was slated for fiscal years 28 and 29, and we have begun the development work there. Work, I would say, in the earlier stages. We recently wrapped up a value engineering study to try to find ways to be innovative, but at the same time reduce the bill, right? Reduce the cost a little bit. It's a big project right now. The estimate's around 190 to $200 million to widen the interstate. And why is it important for us to widen the interstate? Well, number one, traffic is demanding it. I think the traffic numbers that we've seen from the stretch of Mountain Home to back to Boise, you all drive it, I'm sure, quite a bit. I've driven it a lot in my life as well, and it's definitely a lot different than it was 20 years ago. And so the traffic is definitely up, and so we know we need to start widening this interstate. We also know that traffic is up. So when we built Simcoe Road, we had some pretty major backups, as you all know. And so we really can't build anymore with just necking traffic down to one lane. We really need a second lane really to put traffic on. And so the way we plan to do this project is we'll add a third lane so we can, take care and keep traffic moving, keep the drivers of Idaho, the folks that are visiting our region, the commercial commerce moving on the interstate. And so we're going to do it on both sides of the highway. So the net will be a 3-lane section from 90 to 95. So that's a big reason for the cost. But also we decided because of the age of that interchange, we also decided that we should replace that too. That's been a goal for our district engineer, Jason Brinkman, for some time. And so, we're there. We're going to be working in the area. We're going to be digging up the roadway. We're going to have barrels out. It obviously won't be an easy project from the traffic control standpoint. They never are when you widen an interstate. They're difficult projects to build. And also, we're good at it, but, traffic control is a big concern and slowing drivers down and all that. But if we're going to be out there, then it makes a lot of sense to try to use somewhat of an economy of scale there and also wrap in a project. So it becomes a really big project. Thankfully, the TECM corridor for the interstate goes from, the valley all the way to exit 95. I think we expanded it for this reason, to give us that opportunity. So when bonding comes back and when some of that STLI money comes back, hopefully, I mean, we're going to keep our fingers crossed. We know if you talk to state legislators, and I'm sure you guys do, I think they understand that they had to do what they had to do, but they do understand clearly that transportation is important in this state. And I don't think they're just going to walk away from it. Now, I don't want to get fired here right now for stating my own opinion, but I would say that pretty strongly as a representative of the district, that there definitely is a will to come back and continue to fund transportation. The state's going to continue to grow, and there's going to continue to be opportunities there to do that. So that's an important project for the district. We're going to continue developing it, and as a part of that development, we'll work out and try to determine what that funding opportunity might be and how we might fund that. So go ahead, Mayor. You got a question?
Vincent, the third lane, is that, the 190 million, does that also include like a new spooey for 95 or exit 90?
Good question. Yeah. So mayor, members of council, right now, what we're looking at is we're widening from 90 to 95, but only rebuilding the 95 interchange. And as a part of that value engineering study, they looked at both a spooey and they looked at replacing it with some sort of a diamond configuration. And it was concluded, at least recommended through that value engineering study, that we probably stick to a diamond interchange. But when you rebuild it, we'll be able to rebuild it to the part of the problem with some of our older interchanges is that the off ramps are too short, right? So we can build it to the standards for, and well, it's not 80 through here, but I don't know how much people slow down. So we could build it to faster standards in terms of accommodating the proper off ramps, and that will be part of it. We have not made any decisions yet, but those are the recommendations, and that's part of the process. So. Does that answer your question, Mary?
Yeah. Is there an example of what a diamond is? I know what a spooey is.
I mean, what you have out there right now is essentially a form of a diamond interchange, where it's basically, you have like your ramps come like this, right? And they come like this on both sides. It just kind of creates a diamond. But what you have out there at exit 95 is a diamond.
Okay. Mayor, Councilman.
Vincent, on
Yeah.
that with the diamond interchange, is there talks then how that's going to affect there at 95? I know there was about a roundabout in that vicinity there, and is that still ongoing? Or how does that all affect Pilot up north of that? Is that been taken?
Yeah, good question. Mayor Sykes, Member McCarthy. Well, it was a part of the VE. They looked at that. As at this point, one of the things they looked at in the value engineering study is what improvements could be made on, we'll call it US 20, right? Both to the east and the west the north and the south of the interchange. And they looked at improvements on the highway itself. What they concluded was that those improvements didn't necessarily benefit the main line itself. So at this point, the value engineering study didn't recommend that. But that doesn't mean that we can't continue to look at those options. And the good thing about the value engineering study is it did look at it. It kind of scoped it. It's a pretty good price tag to do that. But again, it's something that the district will consider moving forward. What it did at least, though, add into the, and recommend were signalizing the ramps, which I think certainly, as we know, there can at times, I know this weekend there were pretty good backups there on the eastbound off as people were going to go north. And it probably doesn't help at times when State Highway 21's out of business, because this weekend we had a State Highway 21 between the Banner and Summit area was closed because of the big mudslide, which they did a great job and got it open. Guys worked really hard and got it open. It was open yesterday, but it wasn't open over the weekend. And I'm sure that turns a lot of traffic into it, up north using that exit. So does that?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I know we have an intersection a little further down there, City View Drive. I don't know if that has been brought to ITD's attention or discussion on that.
Exit 90?
right off of exit 95 when you go south.
By
Oh,
Walmart,
oh.
Dutch Brothers.
Sure, sure.
Well,
Are you talking about the City View Drive? That's not the drive that takes you to the water tower. Is that what you're talking about?
no.
No, something different.
City View Drive, it's right there.
Oh,
That
Mhm.
City View Drive, that intersection right there.
yeah, is that the, like a frontage type road that goes around the back of the Walmart? Or,
Well, that's 8th Street. I'll show you. What happened
I was looking at it all
is
today and it,
we had the engineers, so we tried to get Walmart to put a light there.
sure.
And so they went up the chain and then finally got turned down. I think you were there. And so that's the kind of the showcase area. 'Cause
Okay.
I'd say 8th Street's our problem child right now.
I know what you're talking about. City View Drive, that's the one that would have taken you to the proposed casino area. Is
Correct,
that the
yes.
one? Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, I didn't know if that was part of the conversation since 95 is being.
I think that's part of what I talked about, expanding the look at if making changes there, how that would affect the operations of the interstate system. And that, I believe it was looked out that far. I can get a little more information on the details of exactly what they looked at as a part of the value engineering study. And
Okay.
how about I follow up on that? The last couple of days I've been doing my research leading
Curious,
into
we've
this
had some
meeting, and
recent developments that have some impact fees that we're collecting for that intersection and all that, so I didn't know.
okay.
Discussions with previously on the DIFACT, I had some conversations with ITD regarding some
Sure.
projects, and so that's
Yeah.
one that I
It's-
just didn't know if it's on the radar with ITD. So
Well, I would say it is, Member Sykes, Council Member McCarthy. I actually talked to some of those people that you talked to, and they know that there's those conversations are going on about potentially creating some impact fees or proportionate share or something, and working at bringing that to bear to make improvements there as well. So I know that the staff's working with you on that, and certainly we appreciate when the cities or counties we work with, work with us to help create mitigation and make improvements to the state highway system. So that's certainly something we're more than welcome to work with you guys on. And I know our team's already on top of that, or at least they spoke about working with you specifically and talking to you about that today.
just pre-talks, no project design number, anything like that.
No, we don't have a key number or anything for that at this point. But I know that there's been some talk in the corridor of roundabouts in the past. I know that you guys spoke with and even kind of sat down and did a little charrette, I would call it, with our former district engineer there as well. Since then, I think the department's stance has changed on roundabouts. We do have new leadership now in our department. Our longtime director, Scott Stokes, retired. And Alberto Gonzalez as now the director of ITD, former DMV administrator, did a good job there, making some improvements when he was there, launching the new software system that was a little rough at the start, but has turned out to be very good for DMVs across the state. And then, that's been a big change for ITD, but certainly Alberto will bring in new ideas, and I don't know what that leads to other than just there's different leadership now. So, ultimately, things don't always stay the same, and we'll see what happens.
So ITD is going away from traffic circles and they want to go more to lighted sections.
Yeah, I mean, that's the direction we got was to use, signalization, and try to find the appropriate type of signalization, or staying away from, roundabouts. There's none on our main line in this state. There are a few exceptions where we use roundabouts for ramp termini. But even then, I think those happened and were planned and built right on the cusp of when we kind of went from where we were looking at them and starting to build and design them to where we changed our stance on them. There's issues potentially with commercial trucking, and I think you guys have heard all that, but I can go more into it. A lot of people want to use them as a traffic calming measure, and that's really not what they are. There's also a lot of design work that needs to be put into safeguarding active transportation users, so bikes, pedestrians, et cetera. So those are some of the reasons that at this point, they're not something that will build on the state highway system.
No, and I appreciate that. Since you brought up 95, I think there's,
Yeah.
I'll say a lot of updates that have happened in that stretch. And so it's one of those, I didn't know how much ITD has been brought aware, especially with the addition at Walmart with the gas station, with the need for some previous when it was switched, traffic, TISs and all that. So I didn't know how much actually ITD, and I didn't know if, speaking to some at ITD, that if that's on the radar to kind of figure out how we're going to fix that intersection.
Well,
incorporate all that with those changes.
Sure. And I would say that it's definitely on our radar. I mean, it's on my radar. I started this job 4 years ago. I left for a little sabbatical and came back. But 4 years ago, we sat down with the mayor. And so certainly it's on my radar. And it's something that I've talked actively with project teams about, trying to find ways to see what we could do to, ease some of those safety concerns on US 20 and the business loop. I guess it's got a couple different names, but.
Mayor.
Councilwoman Workla.
Hi, Vincent. This is Councilwoman Workla.
Hi.
Hi. So I support expanding the freeway. 100% support that. However, water is a precious resource and a sensitive topic right now within our community. For that development, how do you plan on going about doing dirt abatement, and where will you get the water from for that?
Well, that's excuse me, Council or Mayor Sykes, Councilmember Workla. I would say at this point, I don't know. I don't think we know. I don't think we're quite there yet in our planning. We, like I said, we've done a value engineering study. We've started a lot of the survey work and the environmental work that needs to be done to move forward. But I don't think we've gotten into what that would be more of on the construction planning side. But I will take note of that, and I will make sure to forward that to the construction team to let them know that that's certainly something that's of concern or an opportunity that the city council would like to know about and that we need to be cognizant of.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman Harjo. Vincent, thank you for joining us.
Welcome.
The mention about the value engineering study, is that a document that you can share with the city?
Sure.
I think it'd be valuable just to have eyes on it to gain an understanding of what considerations have been made regionally for that. I think it'd be great to have as a
Mayor Sykes, Councilman Harjo will make that available to you. It's a public document. And there's one more project I think that kind of weaves into this discussion as well. And we talked about continuing to move development projects forward. One of the projects that we had several corridor studies that we were able to go to our Idaho Transportation Board and secure funding for. And one of those was on the interstate, looking at essentially Boise to Mountain Home or around the Gowan, the Micron area, and focusing on what it would take to widen the interstate from, the current 2 lanes in that area to either 3 or even 4. What would the triggers be? I think we're seeing the trigger for 3 lanes is probably there, but even in the long-term future, when would the trigger even be for 4 lanes? So if we're going to take a look at it, we want to look as far out in the future as we can. And we got to figure out things like, would we widen to the inside? Would we widen to the outside? There's a lot of culverts. There's even some underpasses, like cattle underpasses along that portion of the interstate. People probably don't even realize there are several bridges and interchanges. What changes would we need to make to those type, size, location reports? Those are what we do when we look at bridges to determine, if you need to replace it, how do you replace it? What type of bridge do you replace it with? So we're doing that analysis right now. And the hope is to clear environmental hurdles. So then we can start to look at potentially design projects. I think part of that project will also create prioritization in that corridor. It's a long corridor. It's over 30 miles, right? So, it's probably not a one project for 30 miles, but like we've done on our interstate in the valley when we've widened it from 2 to 3 to 4, and now we're even looking at going to 5 lanes and even 4 lanes with auxiliary lanes from Garrity to the Flying Y. That's another one of the studies that we got money for and we're continuing to develop. So we're going to take a look at that piece of interstate and start to figure out what needs to be done to widen it. I think everybody knows, and if you've ever looked at the aerial pictures, you can see the dramatic changes that are happening behind Micron. You can't see it too well from the interstate, although you can see all the cranes out there. But that's going to change the makeup of the valley. And as you know, a lot of that will push to the east. It'll push into Mayfield. There's several developers now that are staking ground and talking to us about, potential improvements to the highway and what it would take, and talking with you and talking with your county as well, and the Ada County as well. I know they've broken ground out at Mayfield so, there's going to be some major push to the east, and there's going to be, that traffic's going to need to spread out all across the valley and into Mountain Home. So, this is kind of our preemptive look at developing a plan for that corridor and understanding what it would take to widen it. So those are kind of the things I wanted to bring up, but I know you have probably others you would like to ask about, and I'll do my best to provide you answers.
You got mine, sir. So, Councilman Harjo.
One of the things that just before the meeting I talked to Mayor Sykes about is some of the regional traffic implementation things that we have on our horizon. So late 2024, early 25, we got our master transportation plan for the city back from our engineer. And there's a number of projects that were identified in that that had to do with potential vehicle versus vehicle versus pedestrian, like the safety measures to help mitigate those issues. Our District 3 representative, do you have any interest in seeing that master transportation plan study of ours, so we can kind of mesh minds in terms of like what these projects might need? For instance, we have on our master transportation plan, South 14th East and American Legion is one that we went through LTAC to get a grant for a hawk signal, but we have
Happy about that.
Yeah,
Congratulations. You guys were number 3, one of the top choices. So
Yeah.
Good job writing your grant.
Yeah, so that was a fantastic win for us, but we have
Yeah.
another one on the horizon that's kind of scheduled out for perhaps around 2030, Haskett and Airbase Road out
Yes.
here, and a potential
Drove
light.
by there today and checked it out before I came. Yeah.
Thanks for swinging by while you're in the
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, so would you have any interest? Does that affect you in any way in kind of gaining some understanding of the city's direction for, some desires that have the overlap with ITD's roadways?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Harjo, 100%.
Okay.
I'd love to see it. I actually wrote down a master transportation plan and put a box by it, which means I'd like to look at it. I'm sure our staff has looked at it as well in development services. I know one of our senior planners as well has looked at it, and I definitely would like to look at it. And I remember when you guys were going through that process, I had first started, and we talked a lot about it when I met once with the mayor. So yeah, I would like to look at it, and I think that would definitely help our planning team. So thank you for pointing that out. And the answer to your question is yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for taking a look at that in advance there. We'll make sure that Chris or somebody can get that over.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Vincent, thank you for the updates on the interstate. I think that's great for,
Yeah.
our residents to hear. I think that's one thing that we're hearing a lot is the traffic and, especially with the increase in commercial speed and everything like that. So I didn't hear a little bit about in town, and that's kind of one of my concerns that I wanted to bring up since you've taken, thank you again for coming here.
Here to listen as much as talk. Yeah. I prefer to listen more than talk, to be honest.
So as you pointed out, there's some that I've been talking to in District 3 And last year, when I was on the DIFACT, we had a representative from ITD come, and we were talking about Airbase Road and Haskett. And when I initiated those conversations, I got the feeling that they weren't even on ITD's radar. I don't know if that's how all that works between city and all that, and that's not really something that I want to, not my question for that, but my concern is during that DIFAC meeting, we had the representative that talked about how because of that intersection is so close to our South Fifth West intersection there, that it's lighted, that IDAPA is going to play into that. So we did have a conversation in there. The representative talked about the IDAPA waiver. And so I wanted to see if that has been kind of going on with the conversation, to see how we're going to go about that, because quite frankly, that's the same issue with, yes, it's glad we got the Hawk system, but speaking with ITD and the email, there's concerns about IDAPA 2, about American Legion and 14th, to points of, are we going to go with a fully lighted intersection, or are we going to do a Hawk with movement restrictions on there? So I'm just curious to see if this information has been going on and talking, with some of yours, like the district engineer, Aaron Vargas, and that, or any of that, because quite frankly, I want to see where we're at with that, especially if we don't even have project numbers for those. I mean, it is state highway, so.
Well, let me try to,
Please, yeah, I know that was a
Mr.
bit
Mayor,
there, so.
Councilmember McCarthy, it's great. I think I see where you're going. Let me ask you a couple clarifying questions. You said a dive back meeting. Is that what you called it?
DIFAC, Development Impact Fee Advisory Committee.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. I thought you said dive back. Sorry.
DIFAC, yep, sure.
Getting old,
We
man.
like our
Letters are
acronyms,
terrible.
right?
Yeah. Okay. So, and then when you first referenced the 14th, were you talking about what is currently there at 14th and Haskett, and were you referring to that as a Hawk signal?
No, American Legion and 14th.
Okay, so you were just talking, but we were talking a little bit about, and what you have at 14th and Haskett is what they call a rectangular rapid flashing beacon, or an RRFB, which doesn't stop the highway movement. It just alerts drivers through the, rapidly flashing beacons that somebody's crossing. I looked at the one out there, and I think I have some, I think, that's an area where I think you could potentially put a pedestrian hybrid beacon, which is also the same term they use, PHB, is a Hawk signal, like you're putting at American Legion. What we've talked about internally at American Legion, and what you have funding for, is that it's a pedestrian hybrid beacon, which it is a signal. It's a traffic signal. It stops traffic, but it's not a full traffic operation. And yes, our district engineer, Jason Brinkman, is aware of it. Planning manager Aaron Bogus is aware of it. I'm aware of it, and we're aware of it in development services, because we know we'll probably work with you to permit that construction and help you work through the design process. And we're fully on board and looking forward to working with you guys on that. We do not foresee it being a fully signalized intersection. We see it being what you applied for in the grant, which would be I think the grant calls it a Hawk signal, but it's, semantics are basically both the same thing, but yeah. So yes, I think to answer your question, we're fully aware of it. We're standing by and ready and willing and able to work with you on its implementation and development and construction.
And that's, again, I know that conversations need to happen, and the IDAPA is playing into those. On our CAP, it talks about, expending impact fees with Airbase Road and Haskett and that this year. So again, I'm kind of one of those of, if we don't have project numbers, because it is state highway, where are we truly at in implementation and actually is built out?
I looked at I was paying attention to there are two signals. It's basically almost equidistant between the two signals you're talking about. And I'd have to look back at the distance. And I thought about that a little bit. And I'm not a traffic engineer, so I don't want to get myself in trouble here, but that's something that how about we, it's in my head, and it's something we'll go back and talk to the team about.
Okay.
Is that fair enough?
No, and
I don't want to give you any professional opinion, because I don't have
I appreciate
two
that.
initials after my name to do that.
Nope. And I guess my question would be, is there any chance that we can have that team come here to answer those questions, so that we can get this moving and the public knows that.
100%. Yeah. And I thought about that today when I was looking at the tap list. There's a couple other projects on there that we're coordinating with, like in Horseshoe Bend, they got a project that we're working with them already. Yeah, let's get the teams together, really our development services team, and let's sit down and talk about what you want to do and then go from there.
No, I appreciate that. As you
Yeah.
said, not having the initials behind your name, of that, so I appreciate coming back with that.
I mean, I could give you my unprofessional, I can give you my opinion, but I think it's better even if you had the initials behind your name, unless you really were able to do the analysis. I don't think it would be responsible to answer that question, at least on Haskett and Air Base Road, without really having a chance to do the analysis that comes with something like that. So.
So speak for this body, but that is something I'd like to really get the district out here so we can talk to the teams, because I know conversation, can we use standards and everything? So we're cutting cost on that with, engineering, third consultant, everything. I know ITD has plenty of standards for intersections and
I know you do.
Hawks and all that and everything. So I think, at least for me, I'll say that I would really like to get those individuals who can make those, expert, point outs and everything, that we can get those answers on there. Cause quite frankly, I've heard we're talking and I'm ready for some.
Yeah, let's talk.
Cause
Like, we'll talk to you and not just talk internally, but we can, let's sit down, we'll set some up and.
Not to interrupt, sorry, but I know
No.
you
Yes.
had some share the actual projects that are actually listed out with project numbers and everything, which I'll share with council. And those were pointed out. And so that's where I'm going. I don't see anything listed on those roads or anything like that. And this is all the way to 2031. So
Sure.
again, I think getting those individuals in the room with us together so we can actually
Yeah.
this out, I think
Yeah.
would be huge.
And we can work on that. I think what I hear you saying too, maybe about concerning Air Base Road and Haskett, is that the city has some funds to bring to the table at that intersection.
Same with City View.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay. So let's sit down and talk about those things. And I'm sure our development services is aware of that. I won't make any excuses. I'll just say there's a lot that we have on our plate, and we appreciate you being, as a council and mayor, being proactive and asking us to come, because sometimes it just takes conversations like this to get the ball rolling, and we'll come back. And I think we can, build a little bit of an agenda and have a working session and sit down and really, I think it's important for us to listen to you and get Chris at the table and any other members of your team you think that should be there. I've had a good discussion today. Felt bad because he was not feeling well, but he was nice enough to talk to me. I chatted a little bit with Chris about some of this too. So let's move the ball forward, and especially since you've secured the money, and I'm sure LTAC will want to be a part of that conversation as well. Amanda Lamont and her team that run the TAP program for LTAC.
Mayor.
Councilwoman Workla?
Councilman McCarthy just passed out a piece of paper. Is it like a priority list, or what did you pass out?
It's the FY 25 to 31 program update for Elmore County. It's got more or less, well, I'll have T email that, or can you just email it to her really quick? Or
She can take a picture and text it to me, but real quick, is there, does it have, so Railroad Park is expanding by Highway 51, the
Nice.
light at Highway 50, at Railroad Park in American Legion. It needs a light. It doesn't have a light. Is that something that's on that paper that you passed out?
It's, no. Are you
Okay.
saying, you said Railroad Park needs a light?
Yeah, Railroad Park and American Legion where it intersects, since Railroad Park is, expanding and we're expecting more growth there, with families and such. That's already, it's already a kind of sketchy area to cross that intersection. And so with Railroad Park expanding, I feel a light needs to be there. So if we're just throwing out our wish list, that's one that, that it would be my wish.
Copy that. It's not on this, I'm going to assume ITD's wish list.
So what you have in front of you is actually a couple years old. It's the Idaho Transportation Investment Program project slated for Elmore County. And yeah, it's FY 25 to 31. We're actually in FY 26 to 32 right now, and we have submitted our draft program, and we're in the middle of the update for FY 27 to 33 program. So basically, right now, all of our projects that are listed in the ITIP are out for public comment. So if there is something that you guys would like to comment on, you certainly can also comment through the ITIP, the draft update. That's what we call it, and that goes until the end of this month. So you're running out of time, but certainly if that's something that you want to do, you can. We mentioned that and talked about that at the meeting in June. I think we actually handed out the 26 to 32 program at that time. The update just means we've got all the projects that we want to add, and we've probably moved some things around. And this update is a little different than most because of the funding changes I talked about earlier. It's definitely got a lot of changes to it, a lot of deletions. But that's how we traditionally enter projects in the program. But we can also go through the board to create projects, and there's other funding sources that we can use to create projects. So, but that's what you have in front of you. But it's a little old, and maybe some of these things might have been changed. I'd have to sit down and look at this with, the full program in front of me to give you an update. But we can definitely get you an updated list there. And again, the time is now to make comments. So if there's something that you guys wanted to, ask about or request, it's always a really good time to make that request. We get a lot of letters through the update process from cities, counties, requesting transportation improvements or the need for improvements, or pointing out opportunities in their eyes.
All right, council, anything else for Vincent? Vince, thank you for taking your time, driving all the way out here. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Mayor. Thank you. And nice to meet the rest of the council. And I guess we'll have some more time to talk here in the future. I'll sit down and write out these, and we'll work through your staff, and we'll get a meeting on the books to talk about those projects that are on the docket right now, and the ones that you would like to talk more about or creating for the future potentially. Okay.
Thank you. You bet. We usually don't, but since it's Commissioner Corbis, we'll let you.
I just wanted to briefly mention, while Vincent was here, we had a great meeting here a few weeks ago out at the ITD shop. Some of the city staff was there. We've had some real struggles going anywhere with Idaho Transportation Department. Kind of laid that out with Vincent and his group. We're trying to work through some of that. I spoke with Vincent briefly yesterday. We'd like to bring our elected officials in, and have a sit down with all of them. And I mentioned that to Vincent on the phone yesterday as well. And I would like to, I think if we're going to have these conversations, it would just be great to include everybody. You know what I'm saying? If we're going to sit down and look at the problems and concerns and issues that we're having, if we could bring everybody to the table, the city, the county, and not have Vincent going to the city and then to the county and running back and forth, we could just try to address a lot of these issues right up front when we have these folks in town. So anyways, I just kind of wanted to mention that while Vincent was here, and maybe we can open that dialogue up to where we're all sitting at the same table and addressing some of these issues. So
Perfect.
yeah, thank you.
Perfect.
Thanks, Vincent.
Thank you.
All right, brother.
Vincent.
Hey, drive safe.
Thanks.
You'll see the traffic is horrible.
Lessons up. I'll wait it out.
All right, we're gonna run down to the consent agenda. Council, is there anything on the consent agenda that you need any more questions? I think I had a Councilwoman Workla had a question on the consent agenda.
Yeah, I have several things. Bear with me.
You're good.
Okay. Thank you. Let's see. Let's start with number 7, which is the bill run. All right. Just one second. I'm sorry. Okay. So I did mention at the beginning of the meeting that I would read Rod Dudley's email. He did have questions. And I got him at the last minute, so I just want to make sure his question gets answered here. So underneath the water and wastewater DEQ payments on the bill run, there are 2 bonds. And I think the question was, stand by. Is this part of what, Mayor, what you were requesting to pay off the bonds, or is this just an installment? So it's to Idaho Bond Bank payment, Zion's Bank. That one's underneath water. And the second one is underneath wastewater department for DEQ loan number 3. So are
think
those
those-
just installments like
Yeah,
that
I
we're
think those were
paying?
just, yes.
Yeah, because I know like on our during our budget session, we approved paying towards those in addition to for fiscal year 27. So I just told him I would ask that. And then I have 2 more questions on the bill run. Stand by. Okay, so on page 1 of the bill run, it let's see, it has. Did we go out for judicial confirmation? Because it says judicial confirmation, but it doesn't say for what LID. So if we're paying for judicial confirmation for, is this for LID, potentially for LID 2, right? Did we approve that to go out for judicial confirmation?
You want to take that? Go ahead, T.
No, you-
It was, you gave us the permission to get we're not going out for judicial conference. It's just more or less to set up we have to get the correct numbers then to do the public hearing. So that's what that one quintessentially entails. We're not.
Mayor.
Yes.
So we didn't approve to go out for judicial confirmation yet, but right now on this bill run, we're paying for $2,829.50. That doesn't sit well with me.
Mayor.
Go ahead, T.
Councilwoman Workela, you approved to go out for a public hearing regarding a judicial confirmation, which requires a resolution, which in turn requires an attorney to help us with the documents.
Okay.
So we have to do this process to go to the public hearing, to then create a resolution, to then go out to judicial confirmation.
Thanks, Tiffany. That makes sense. Got it. Okay, and then on page 8, can you tell me underneath, let's see, I think it's for rec department. No, I'm sorry, yeah. Parks and Rec. It says, there's a sign, it says no children sign for $225 from Cox Signs. I'm just curious, what is that sign? Why was that sign created? No children sign for what?
Mayor.
Go ahead, T.
Councilwoman Workela, those signs were created because we're having problems within the dog parks. However, we've spoke with legal and we
Okay.
cannot post those signs until the ordinance comes back to the city council, which Parks has several ordinances that have to be modified due to legal's requests. So it will be coming to you here in August.
Thank you. I had a feeling it was for the dog park, which I have a problem stating if where children can and cannot be, the government saying where children can and cannot be, that should be fully on the parent to decide that. So if you're starting to tell children to stay out of parks and the parents will support the children being in parks with the dog, then that's on the parent, not on the city government. But anyway, that's my 2 cents already.
So just to add to your 2 cents, sorry, Mayor.
You're good.
We're looking at City of Nampa's ordinances and tweaking them slightly, but we'll go probably close to that verbiage, which is just making sure that children don't antagonize canine behavior, so to speak.
Gotcha.
So they would be allowed, but with supervision, and then if that makes sense. So
Okay. No, I just saw those on this bill run that we're approving, so I just want clarification. Thanks, Tiffany. So then also on consent agenda, I want to pull number 12. Sorry, I'm working off my laptop, so I'm a little slow here. And then I have a question on number 13. On this contract with Republic Services, the dates at the end of the contract, it looks like it says June of 2026. So are we planning, if we approve this, are we planning to backdate to June, or would that date change?
Go ahead, T.
Councilwoman Workla, I would assume we dated for the date we signed the agreement.
Okay. Just a question on that. All right. Thanks, Tiffany.
And then on 13, really quick, Councilman Harjo had some interlineation of the contract on that one,
Legal does too.
or legal, sorry, but Councilman Harjo caught it first, so
Mayor.
go ahead, Councilman Harjo.
Thank you. One of the things in reading through that contract that I noticed is that there was no specific citation of some state code that changed within the last year or so here. One of the, sorry, I'm trying to pull up my email on that thing. In the contract, it doesn't necessarily acknowledge the language passed in legislature in 2025 regarding temporary or project-specific solid waste. That Idaho code is 50-344 subsection 2, stating notwithstanding any city contract or franchise for solid waste collection. To the contrary, any person may contract with a solid waste collection provider for the person's choosing for the use of solid waste collection containers that are temporary and project-specific as defined by city ordinance. So I had some concern that we may need to add through interlineation some language in a paragraph that helps define that, confluence with city code. Paul, would you happen to have any feedback on that?
Yeah, I responded to it too. I didn't remember because I was on my phone. But I looked at the contract and it essentially says those words. It codifies actually sort of what the new statute changes state. It's not exact. And so what I would suggested to Tiff is that just add as provided in Idaho code, blah, blah, blah. So you just add that tag. But it sort of gives and I wish I could point out exactly what section it was, but I was like, well, it's there. It exempts out for those purposes. And so if we just tie it into the statute, if somebody says, well, this says this is a little bit different than the exact wording of the statute, if you it's like 6 in one, half a dozen in the other. We say 6, but the statute says half a dozen. And if I just tie in the statute, then it'll resolve that.
With the blah, blah, blah on your response.
I wrote blah, blah, blah. I was doing that from my phone.
So with that one, council, we just need to add the Idaho code section to the contract. And I think, as Paul said, we're copacetic with everything else.
Tiffany put in the blah, blah.
Councilman Sanders?
Documents I received didn't have anything under Exhibit A where the rates were supposed to be in there. Am I supposed to act on a document I don't have the rates for?
Go ahead.
Public services. Exhibit A is exactly the same this year. There's no proposed price increase, so it's exactly the same as what it is today.
That may be, and I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm simply saying the document I received had Exhibit A as a blank page.
I think it should have included Exhibit A.
And done wrong then. Thanks. I can go run you a copy of this exhibit. But it's what was scanned in.
Councilman McCarthy?
To keep things moving, I'm wondering, because of the interlineation language and getting that document, that can we just pull number
13?
13, please?
Absolutely. All right.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
And I'd like to pull number 10, please. And then Councilwoman Workla kind of beat me to the punch, but I do have a question on the bill runs for number 7. Specifically the judicial confirmation, which Tiffany, thank you for the clarification on the process. My question is, this is coming out of professional fees in the admin budget under the 4,100. I'm curious why we did not pull these out of the fiber budget under its professional fees of the 4,100. Thank you, Tiffany.
Oh, that's weird. And they all went that way? But you have B?
That's the packet.
You have B? Yeah, you have it in paper. I'm sorry.
You got this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll email it to
Yep,
you.
I do.
Yeah, I didn't hear what you said. All right.
It just says
Right.
confidential
Fine.
to them.
So for again, and Tiffany, thank you for the clarification on the LID for the judicial confirmation going public. I had a question on why we had pulled that from the admin budget under professional fees for the 4,100 and not in the fiber budget under its 4,100 professional fees, Mayor.
That would probably be coding by me. We have coded it out of that line before and it's attorney fees and it's professional and admin typically pays all attorney fees. So that's why it was coded that way.
Talking with Paula, we had about 1,800 expended out of that $8,000 line. I appreciate that attorney fees. I think that if it's a judicial confirmation, it should be coming out of the fiber. Which would be the 41.
Same
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
Mayor,
Council.
can we just pull the bill run, please?
Can, we're
No.
just gonna pull that, and put it, you'll just fix the coding? Is the council in agreement with that,
Sure. I mean, Mayor,
Councilman?
all associated costs with the LID get wrapped up in the LID. So coding this back to the fiber department is fine and well, but all of those expenses, including legal, get pulled back into the total project cost of an LID. So it, in the end, the LID pays for those services. And thusly the cost of that is spread across every taker of the LID. If that's where council wants to pull it from, that's great. It's going to be absorbed by either the cost of an LID if that LID proceeds, or it will be a cost of either the administrative aspect of seeking legal fees, or I mean, paying legal fees for legal services. If it needs to be put under fiber, that's fine. It's just going to get absorbed later.
So we'll fix that that's easy. Okay. Easy peasy. Okay, council, I've got 10, 12, 14 pulled. Any others?
13.
Oh, you're right. 13, sorry. I've got, okay, council, okay, I got 10, 12, 13 pulled. Anything else?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders?
the fundamental behind number 11 is the same as 10. If we're going to be talking about one, we might as well pull them down and have them together.
10 or 11, okay. Okay. And number 11. All right, council. Any other on the consent agenda? I got 10, 11, 12, 13. If not, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda with the interlineation of adding the Idaho code to the or do we pull? No, never mind. We pulled it. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, pulling 10, 12, or 11, 10, 11, 12, and 13? Councilman McCarthy.
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda, pulling items number 10, 11, 12, and 13, with also the change to the bill runs for the fiber, the professional fees.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Sanders.
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy.
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla.
Aye.
Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
All right, run down to old business deliberation decision on golf course pump house project and expending funds from FY 26 contingency. Council, what do you want to do?
Mr. Mayor, let's get this discussion rolling. I will move that we approve the expenditure of funds from FY 26 contingency for the golf course pump house project as presented.
Do I have a second?
Mayor,
Councilman Harjo?
I have a question for the motion maker. We were presented two attachments to this, with varying cost and product outcome.
You're correct. Let me get over to that page. Thank you. One of the members of the council is faster at getting to those and giving me a page number. Our packets get into the hundreds. I lose track pretty quick. I'll admit it. $90.
Yes, up to 13.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders.
I'll amend my motion. I'm going to move that we approve expending funds from the FY 26 contingency on the golf course pump house project and award to Big Anetta Construction in the amount of $18,500 for construction of that facility.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla.
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy.
Aye.
Councilman Sanders.
Aye.
All right. Sorry, having a water went down the wrong tube. All right, we're going to run down to items removed from the consent agenda. We're going to run down to item number 10, approve the fire department's request to expend impact fees to pay for the Wild Urban Land Interfire. Sorry,
Mayor,
Councilman Harjo.
is it possible that we can move some of the Elmore County stuff
Oh,
to the beginning of new business?
yes, actually, council, yes, I'd like to move up really quick. We'll come back to the items that were pulled. I'd like to move item number 6 right now and then item number 7. So we're gonna run down to item number 6 currently while we have Commissioner, we have Rogers and Corbus back there. You guys want to come up? All right, we're gonna run down to action item number 6, deliberation decision regarding resolution 22 subsection 2026R. Council, do you have any questions for Commissioner Corbus and Commissioner Rogers?
I was gonna say, can we do,
Yeah, we'll bust them all out.
Sure.
we'll start,
Well, I don't know where you would like to start. Do you want to talk a little bit about the ambulance district first?
Let's do that one. Let's do 6.
So of course, we are here to ask the city to, of course, pass a resolution letting the county go out to the voters for a creation of a new ambulance district. You know, we're quite honestly, we're struggling with what we have. We have an ambulance district that encompasses the whole county. And that district brings in $740,000 a year and has a $4.5 million budget. So what we're hoping to do is look at a way to change the dynamics there and move that to the voters. And we would dissolve the current district and ultimately create a new district, which means changing a small section of the boundary up north of Elmore County and some of the national forest land, a small piece of that. And then when we're done with that, if the voters approve it, we would create a new board. That board would sit down, decide the dollar amounts and direction they want to go, and have its own private entity. The ambulance district is not a county function. It is a district, no different than the school district, hospital district, or anything else. But the county currently runs it and has for quite a few years. So looking to the future, we've got to make some changes. And when I talk about the $740,000 in taxes yearly, I think to give a little bit more insight on that, there's currently 2 gals that do the billing for the ambulance district. They bring in anywhere from $60,000 to $150,000 a month as well. And then we also have funds that come in from wind and solar that also help offset some of the costs. So, as you know, bottom line is we would like to just move forward with having that ambulance district go to the voters and maintain the status quo, the level of service that we currently have. If we don't do that, we are just years away from shutting some things down. The level of service is going to have to drop significantly. And we don't want to go there, and we don't want to do that to our citizens. And we want to give them the opportunity to have a voice in it. And part of the laws that go hand in hand with that is an incorporated city has the option to opt out of that and create their own ambulance district. So if you so desire, you could say, nope, we don't want to do that. We're going to create our own ambulance district. And you would say, okay. So, and there's a lot to it. There's a lot of parts and pieces, and it's not easy. We met with the Glens Ferry City last night and talked to them as well. And again, we're hoping to get this done by August 28th, I think, and move to the voters. So, yeah. Sure stand for any questions.
Yeah, I met with Commissioner Corbus Friday and try to get this on. And like I said, let the voters decide if they want to tax themselves. That's why I got it on there.
Of course, I have a question for it, and thank you both for coming. I know EMS is definitely it's struggling with funding in the state of Idaho with everything, you know, not being designated and all
Sure.
that. So I know there's other counties such as, I believe it's Payette County. They talk a lot about their funding, you know, for the EMS, and
Sure.
doing some research in that. They, I think, have similar circumstances to us in the fact of they're dealing with a lot of calls on I-84.
Sure.
And so I was curious if you can kind of talk about that and how much that impacts the EMS service when it comes to.
Yeah, great question. So let's talk about that for just a minute. So and we'll talk, I'll give you kind of a rough guess, and Mark can correct me if I'm wrong, but City of Mountain Home runs, let's say, 100 fire department calls a year. Mountain Home Rural Fire Department runs maybe 100 calls a year. Our rescue group that does extrication is running over 200 calls a year right now. The ambulance service has went from a few years back, 2,000 calls, to now we're pushing 4,000 calls a year. And one thing that we do is we do fund the extrication group out of the ambulance district that responds to the interstate. So several years ago, we started trying to have Idaho Transportation Department help us with that problem. And I thought it seemed to be really simple. They have contracts that pay a fire department to go out and put out a vehicle fire on the interstate. Well, why couldn't they help with the crashes when somebody's dying? Just because there's not a fire, you would think they could help. So there was a lot of emails that went back and forth 2 years ago, and ultimately a letter come back. You would be very, very disheartened to read that letter, which I readdressed with some of your staff out here at their shop a few weeks ago. And of course, Vincent was there and had a little follow-up with him last week. And he said, yeah, well, I don't think we can really do anything. And so I'm not done with that. And that's somewhat of what I discussed earlier when Vincent was here. I want to see if we can look at the dynamics there. One thing that is important is that our billing gals do try to bill any large accident that they can and do. And they collect quite a bit of money. But ultimately, let's take a large fire. There was a large crash with a fatality west of Mountain Home here a few days ago. That rescue group spent 5 hours out there doing traffic control. 5 hours. I mean, of course, there's never enough law enforcement officers, and it's difficult to keep up with. There's no help from them. There's nothing. You know, you go to Ada County, everything in Ada County or your larger urban areas all have a fire district or a fire department that responds there and does all of that work. We don't have that privilege here. We have a lot of no man's land. There's a lot of areas that there is no protection, and we got to do it. It's sad, but and I'll tell you, it's overwhelming right now. I think that those rescue guys are pushing a call every day or every other day right now. They are on the move, and it's just unbelievable the amount of traffic out there. And we've gotten zero traction by trying to ask Idaho Department of Transportation to assist with anything.
We have
Did that
a lot-
answer your question?
A lot of miles on that interstate, Delaware County.
Mayor, may we suspend Roberts just so we can have open dialogue?
Sure.
You okay with that?
Yep. I will suspend Robert's rules for 5, 6, 7.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. And because that is something that kind of I'm concerned is I'd like to see that data, and I'm sure there's things out there that can, because quite frankly, I get the need, but it's one of those that I'm worried that are we putting something on our constituents that, you know, essentially is not something that
Sure.
they're necessarily using the service. Well, let me say
Sure.
this, the out of county residents and that. So that's my concern of it. So, you know, I can see about coming to the voters and asking, but I think that's one of my things that I'd really like to kind of flush out and figure, because again, if it's, I know we had Mr. Alan Roberts here last year talking to him. I know he was stated, you know, 67% of the calls were coming here in city limits. So I know we have the majority coming here. It's just trying to dissect and how much it's actually, you know, service here or anywhere else besides I-84 and passing through. And are we collecting, you know, because eventually, from my understanding, the way we have with the EMS, it's a very user fee. It's not, there is some property tax, but
Yes.
we'll say the majority of it is user fee, correct?
Yes.
And so that's where I'm kind of going. I'd like to see the data so that we can say, yes, this is, you know, obviously there's a shortfall that's stating in the funding, but how are we collecting everything we can be for
Sure.
the outer residents versus we're going to put the burden on, you know?
Well, you can rest assured, and I will tell you right now that the collection aspect of it, every penny that can be collected and gone after is being done.
Okay.
And that's public record, easy information.
Including EMS
What's that?
impact, including EMS.
Including
impact fees
EMS.
with-
Oh,
within
yeah, of course.
city.
By all means. Yeah,
So-
there's no stone left unturned. And, you know, to even go just a little bit further, I think it's important to note that doesn't count the grants that they bring in and some of the dollars that they receive from federal funding. This new House bill, I forget what it is, 289. I need Jeff here to answer that, but that was just approved July 1st that will let ambulance districts and fire districts go up to a 15% increase with growth. There's a lot of things happening out there that are going to help offset that. The impact fees, I think, will be a huge contribution. There are a lot of changes happening, but we're behind the curve. And it's not fair to the taxpayers of the county to sit and break the county's back with using the PILT dollars to totally take care of the ambulance district. It should be spread equally and fairly across the county.
Do you guys know what PILT is? It's pretty much taxes on public land that we get federally. And so we get a payment in Elmer County because of our federal lands. And so that's kind of our reserve funds. We're having to funnel our PILT reserves into there to subsidize their budget.
Okay. No. thank you for
Payment in lieu of
clarification.
taxes, the federal government gives the counties a certain dollar amount, and that's always kind of been our savings account. Well, we're using almost half of that, if not more, to subsidize an ambulance district. The level of service has not changed in years. We still run 2 ambulances in Mountain Home, 1 in Glens Ferry. We have Pine. you know, Atlanta, down Chatton Flats, there's just a lot of country to cover and it's not easy. Absolutely not easy. Yeah,
Is there any state funding or no
what's that?
for ambulance districts?
State funding?
Yeah.
Well, they have grants, like, most recently, they just received a grant to get 2 of these CPR machines that bolt into the ambulances that will do CPR. So now the ambulance folks, rather than calling the rescue guys all the time, they can hopefully use them to offset some of the costs. But it's just difficult when you're an ambulance person out there on the side of the interstate trying to do CPR. There's a lot to it. But as with all emergencies, those guys, they try very hard, but it's difficult. So
Commissioners, I really appreciate the effort that you guys have put into the thought behind this thing. I know this has been a topic for several months here. In your discussions with Glenn's Ferry, city council and their mayor, were there any concerns that were brought up?
sure, yeah, there was a couple concerns. One of them was, well, what if the city of Mountain Home opts out and wants to create their own ambulance district? Are we going to have to pay more down here? I said, well, I think it would honestly be just the opposite. I don't even know if we'd have to go out for an election if the city of Mountain Home opted out, because the majority of the calls are in the city of Mountain Home. And if you guys want to take on the ambulance service, we'll help you out a little bit.
Don't recommend.
I don't foresee that as being.
But, you know, they were concerned that,
Yeah.
you know, they're a small community with a very, very tight budget, and I get it. And they are just very concerned that something happened that would just adversely affect the city. And I get it. And I reassured them that there will not be. I mean, this is countywide. This is from Atlanta to Grandview. And we got to change the dynamics here a little bit.
Yeah. And that's the equitable way to achieve that.
Sure. And it lets the voters speak for themselves. You know, they get to make that decision.
Understood. Thank you.
So on that one, number 6, what do you guys want to do?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 22-2026R.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion?
Just one comment, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Sanders?
Looking through the packet. In section 1 says we've been presented with the petition to form an ambulance service district. But again, the exhibit A I have is blank.
Jeff did it all.
So I've not seen the actual petition.
I can't control.
That been just the resolution?
I know Bill Gigray, the attorney, is the individual that drafted all of that, the legal description and
Bill does everything very thorough.
he's pretty sharp, but he has all of it. I spoke with him on the phone this afternoon just briefly, and he has everything prepared.
And the reason I'm asking is because should I get a question from one of my constituents?
Yeah.
I like to be able to go back to the source document and
Yeah.
point them to it so
No, I'm
they can
tracking.
rerun along with me and we can come to a mutual understanding. So
No, I get it. I'm tracking.
And thus my question too, if a constituent comes back and says, how do we know that, you know, what's the funding like and
Well, the
use
funding is
utilized.
going to be determined by the board.
Right.
That's the group that's going to determine
Right.
what, how, who, when, and where. They'll sit down, and if it gets done, and put together a plan for the future.
Right, but I was saying, my question of the use of how it's broken down, is it, you know, are we
Sure.
seeing a majority of it from recreational, you know, out of county, all those things? So those
Stats.
the stats and that. So, because again, if this is something that this body so chooses to move forward with it, yeah, I'm sure we'll get some questions. And for me, that's one of those that I would like to be able to answer those with our
Absolutely.
constituents. So,
Here you go.
Does the board also have, that dictates the levy rate then?
They'll be the ones ultimately deciding that, yes.
And will it be able to be keeping it not status quo, but obviously getting you to even versus want for naught with a
Yeah,
changing that rate, and then how will the citizens be able to say, hey, we're going to get taxed, but I don't want to be
Sure.
really taxed.
Yeah, no, great question. Those are elected positions. They would initially be appointed and then they go to be an elected official that will be governing that board. And so they will stand to the public through an election.
Okay.
And the budget would have to be posted in the paper, just like you guys as ours. Public notice out and then public comment.
Motion and seconded. Councilman Senator, I think I sent you the resolution. And was that would have been the exhibit A, T?
No, the exhibit A, even what you sent me is blank.
It's going.
Oh, really?
There's a email that says Jeff's words here. In incorporating city that lies within the boundaries of the proposed ambulance district, you must pass a resolution consenting to participate in the ambulance service district before the district may be formed. Copies of the city's resolution must be filed with the county clerk, the clerks by the petitioners at the time of filing the petition. So has the petition been filed? Because you guys would be the.
Bill told me he has all the documents done, but he said, I'm not going to come to the county with the documents until we know what the city's going to do.
So
I mean, that's what he told me.
that would
earlier
be
today,
why.
And I'm like, fair enough.
Exhibit A is blank.
The
That's
exhibit
why.
lies within
Oh.
the petitioner, so they have to have your resolution to advance forward,
I got you.
and they have to have Glenn's Ferries essentially. Right?
They should be voting on theirs tonight. again.
Yeah,
And I think our deadline is August 28th.
it does, yeah, that. Sure, corpus, I do, yeah, it does say the deadline is August 28th.
So it's been motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilwoman Workla,
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy,
I'm gonna vote aye and let the voters decide.
Councilman Sanders,
With a note that after reviewing the petition, I find it is not in the best interest of the city and would campaign against it come voting time. I'll say aye.
Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
Awesome. All right, we're going to run down to number 7. Approve the request to contribute funds of the opioid settlement funds to Elmore County KEMS program. This one, it's in the budget. It's hard to expend those funds. Alan Roberts came to me and asked if we'd like to participate in a KEMS vehicle. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Commissioner.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's really important to note in this goes back to the discussion we just had about the ambulance district. What those KIMS folks are doing out there is huge. The county has funds from the opioid settlement, the city does, and the state as well. Right now, with the problems that they're dealing with and the calls that the KIMS folks are taking care of, it's taking some of the burden off of the ambulance district. It's stopping some of the repeat calls and the constant running our 911 and constant running of our 911 service. So it's a big deal for us. It really is. And not just for us, but for Glens Ferry, for Mountain Home. I mean, they're in everywhere there's a problem, they're there. And helping the elderly, if it's a handrail, if it's a walkway, if it's not taking their medication properly, they go and participate and help those individuals and do a lot of work. I think another thing that is important to note is that even includes the air base. They've spent a bunch of time out at the air base and trying to work with them and build that partnership a little bit as well out there. So yeah, it's a big deal. And it's really nice to have those folks out there.
Mayor,
Councilwoman Workla,
I'll make a motion to approve the request to contribute funds from the opioid settlement fund to the Elmore County KEMS program.
Second.
it's been motion and second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders.
going back through and looking at the reasons being offered for this expenditure, I want to make clear. I'm looking at Exhibit A, which is the approved opioid abatement strategies, Section B, number 7, and I quote, to provide or support transportation to treatment or recovery programs or services persons with OUD and any co-occurring SUD/MH conditions. Will this vehicle be used to transport patients?
You know, I don't believe so. I don't think that would be a use for it at all. I will tell you, our legal staff did review that and said that this is an expense that it can be used for.
I will probably, and I did ask Alan Roberts to get with their legal and see if in the future could the opioid funding be used for an ambulance for said expenditure for transportation. So that will probably, if come back to you guys at a later date.
The second question then is under the reason of A5. It says to support mobile intervention, treatment, and recovery services offered by qualified professionals and service providers, such as peer recovery, recovery coaches for persons with OUD and any co-occurring SUD/MH conditions, and for persons who have experienced an opioid overdose. Is this vehicle intended for use for mobile intervention?
Is it?
Is it
I'm not
intended for use for mobile intervention?
sure. I would sure think so.
And what would that look like?
What would it look like? Using the vehicle to get to the residence of somebody that has an issue or a problem?
And just so I'm making it clear for everybody.
Sure.
Who staffs that vehicle?
The county does. The
The qualifications of the persons that will be staffing that vehicle.
qualifications of the person, yeah.
Yep.
They have to
Paramedics.
be at least an EMT. There's all kinds of qualifications they have to go through. I do not know all of the criteria that we request on the hiring process for our EMTs and the KEMS program, but it's pretty significant. Yeah, they definitely have to know what they're doing out there.
Chem staff has ranged anything from EMT certification all the way through doctors. So
And unfortunately, Alan is on vacation. He couldn't be here tonight. So, you're asking some questions that are kind of his arena. And so I'm giving you my best shot here,
Yeah,
but it's not what I do.
It was mine in the last century, so.
Yeah.
Mayor, council, just to help out commissioners, I did supply Alan Roberts's request in here and he did, which you all have in the packet. Their legal has reviewed it at the county level, but in Exhibit A, line 5 and 7 are where they believe the qualification is. And after our legal and I have talked about it, we would agree that because they would supply the professionals in the industry, it would meet that need and demand.
Mayor,
Councilwoman Workla?
Tiffany, can you also clarify? Because I remember you speaking on this when we did our budget session, that I think this was awarded back in 2021, I think is what I saw. And it's almost impossible to utilize these funds. They're very specific of what they need to be utilized for. And so being able to work with the county and being able to finally find a home for these funds, this is a huge positive, correct?
Councilwoman Workla, that's correct. The funds have a lot of restrictions that very much are centralized due to opioid use. And as the county attorney and some of our staff have talked over the years as we receive the funds, expending them is difficult because some of the resources that we do get for this kind of need are free to us in our law enforcement agency and medically. However, if you could provide additional services or rehabilitation or counseling or different efforts like that, that's where this could be more beneficial. So.
And just for clarity, we just got another check today for about 14 grand.
And some of our opioid funds, we also use in the jail for programs there to help people that are struggling.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Sanders.
Yep. There are a lot of requirements tied to these funds. They're not so onerous if you're a substance abuse provider. You fit into a lot of the places pretty quick. I will defer to legal counsel and their guidance on this. So thank you for your,
Sure.
thank you for your information.
Yep, you bet.
So council, it's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy.
Aye.
Councilman Sanders.
Aye.
Councilman Workla.
Aye.
All right, we're gonna run down to action number 5, deliberation regarding proposed versions of cooperative agreement between Elmore County and the city for dispatch services. Authorize the mayor and city clerk and police chief to sign. So with this one, we worked it all out, I think, Councilman Harjo and Sheriff Hollingshed, we got some of the numbers that they requested. I think it was a 5% uptake every year for the next 5 years.
Yes.
2031.
Yeah.
Mayor, thanks. I met with Sheriff Hollenshed, Mike Prey, Mr. Barry, and went through the contract with a fine tooth comb. Council had previously put forth an iteration back in 2025. And obviously some things have changed since then. County clerk has changed, chairperson of the commission had changed. So in looking at some of the administrative stuff, that brought up other conversations about some of the verbiage that was provided in there. And in further conversation with the sheriff's staff and the HR department for the county, just trying to take a look at what the actual like costs of headcount are and that kind of thing. We came to a table of figures at a 5% increase every year. The dispatch agreement starting at a $90,000 labor and other costs with a $10,000 additional ILETs for a total of $100,000 for the first year of implementation, with a 5% increase to the labor and other costs every year thereafterwards. ILET stays the same at a $10,000 annual. Where we, as the city, will be billed by the county if we go over on those ILETs runs, which are just an actual cost that are transferred through the state when those plates or licenses get run. So it's a pretty straightforward approach in that sense. There is one change that I would like to make through interlineation after discussing one of the more detailed points where previously in the contract, we were trying to set out a 60-day net to collect after receipt of an invoice, or 60-day net to pay after the receipt of an invoice. After talking with the commissioners and other county staff, the sheriff and some of his staff, it would be more logical to pick a date, on their side of the fence. For us on our side of the fence, having we discussed perhaps just picking the date of like November 1st, for instance. But after talking with our staff in-house here, that the timing of our fiscal year might make it very difficult for us to have essentially to catch the right cadence. So I think my request would be, if we're going to pick a date, that would be to be paid before November 30th. That gives us a number of council meetings to hit the cycle to make sure that the county is paid in that one lump sum annually per the contract. If that is amenable to the council, I can read off what the intent or what the intended verbiage there would be.
Councilman Harger, are you on version 2 or 1?
This would be version 2.
Okay.
And then subsequently creating version 3. In section 13, below where you'll see the table of annual fees and the increase amount, the following paragraph previously read, payment shall be made within 60 days of receipt of the invoice, and each subsequent year during the duration of the agreement, Elmore County shall issue an invoice to the city of Mountain Home for the fee. My wish is to replace that entire sentence, strike through from payment shall be made within 60 days all the way through the city of Mountain Home for the fee, and replace that with the payment shall be made by November 30th of each year of the contract. That kind of hits both what works for the county, for us operationally, internally. I think that would be my only requested change to version 2, creating version 3.
Councilman Harjo.
Councilwoman Workley, yes.
Yeah, you suspend Robert's rules for this, right, Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I think we can just, I'm cool with version 2, right? Let's do version 2 and just amend your date on there. And I'm good with that.
Councilwoman Workla, it really came down to the dynamic of how the operation on both the county side of the fence and the city side of the fence worked. For them to create the invoice, they'd have to find a person within a department to fulfill that need. The request through all the discussion was to just replace that function with providing a specific date to be paid due by.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
That would be the November 30th part. But what this eliminates is the county's onus to deliver an invoice. That's the intent of the strike through.
Yeah, no, it sounds good. I'm fine with it. And I'm fine with the annual fee increase of 5% for the next 5 years.
The only thing I had was number 12. The old version had us, well, no one really knew who was paying for the radio, so we fixed that one, and that was a catch on the county side that they didn't want us paying for their radios.
Yeah, just kind of cleaned up the language in that part to make sure that the division of who was responsible to purchase what was clear. But if that's amenable to the council, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the cooperative agreement between Elmore County and the city for dispatch services in version 3 with the interlineation changes, and provide for city clerk, police chief, and mayor to sign.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion?
Mayor,
Councilman McCarthy.
just a clarification. So I'm good with version 2 and the increase. Paul, in section 13, it talks about the city shall pay the county the sum of $90,000 and an additional $10,000. And then it goes into the ILETS percentage section.
Right.
I figured we'd probably be taking that 10,000 out and then it would actually specifically say the ILETS section, correct? Because of that increase. To me, I'm reading this as it's a 90,000 plus 10,000 and the increase. That's
Didn't read it that way. You mean the 5% on top of the islets as well?
it says right here, yeah, in section 13.
Consideration.
Pay the county the sum of 90,000 and an
And
additional
additional
$10,000 and ILETS percentage from section 2.
The following
Doesn't
essentially
say
ones-
and islands.
the following brief one sentence paragraph just above the table then also reads, each subsequent fiscal year, the labor and other cost portion of the fee shall increase by 5% annually, and it does not refer to ILETS. So ILETS will stay at a static 10,000 through the duration, and the labor and other cost portion is what increases for 5% annually. And then below all of that, the ILETS costs, in the very last paragraph of section 13 stays the same, that in the event that there's a recalculation needed for an additional amount exceeding that $10,000, that fee shall be added in the following year's agreement, in addition to the fee.
And chiefs back there, correct me if I'm wrong, with them taking away the tag on the front license plates or any tag on the license plate, that's going to run our ILETS even higher because we're going to run more, right? So our ILETS probably going to go up. Come. Let's sit with Paul and her mic so everyone can. Oh, he can at least speak into the mic.
Yes, that's
Turn there you go.
That's correct, Mayor. With the city usage from our mobile data terminals on the computers, we're going to have an increased cost with that than anything we run through Elmore County Dispatch. There is that chance of a greater fee.
So in-house, right, we're able through the units themselves without contacting dispatch to run our own ILETS.
Yes, we want our officers to use their computers first.
Yes.
And not call out every license plate to dispatch because it's doubling the work.
And that is distinctly separate from this contract.
That's
What
correct.
the ILS reference in this contract refers to is when an officer makes the call to dispatch and dispatch runs the ILS check. That is a separate accrued cost under the dispatch department of Elmore County. And that's what this $10,000 under the contract covers. Now, if those costs exceed $10,000, then the following contractual year, the Elmore County Sheriff's Department will alert the city, hey, you've gone over by X amount, and that will be added to the following year's payment to make up for the previous year for those specific calls to dispatch for an ILS run.
So not only it hits us, it hits the county as well.
Yeah.
So it's our representatives and senators working hard for the county and city.
Got it.
Did they ask any of us?
Nope.
Save a couple $100,000 to cost everybody else a few million.
There you go.
Councilman McCarthy, to ask your question, the 90,000 plus the 10, so the 100, that's just for this upcoming fiscal year. So it's from October 26th to 27. And then the remainder of the paragraph addresses the increases then annually from that.
Okay, thank you, Tiffany, for
Yeah.
the clarification. Just want to make sure we didn't have a change in verbiage or something,
Yeah.
forget to strike out. So, okay.
Okay, council, there's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilwoman Workla,
Aye.
Councilman Sanders,
Aye.
Councilman Harjo,
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy.
Aye.
Perfect. We'll run this to you guys and see what you guys do with it next.
Punt the ball, punt the ball.
Punt.
To Corvus.
And I think that's everything for you guys.
Okay.
Thank you for
Get
joining
this
us.
from AJ.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for all your help. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Commissioners.
And I didn't know, was I supposed to do anything for minutes for you guys or no, or you guys do your own thing? You're good? Okay,
Francine will probably just go.
okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you. All right, well, we're gonna run back up to item number 2,
You just go to.
or sorry, item number 1. And we're gonna start with number 10, the approve the fire department's request to expend, expend impact fee funds for payment of wildland urban, and that was Councilman McCarthy, and I think we'll go back on to following Robert's rules now that we have no more commissioners. So with that, Councilman McCarthy, the floor is yours.
Mayor, Chief Moore, do you mind? All right, Chief, thanks so much for question. I know this is kind of, I just want to have a kind of conversation to see your thoughts on the go with purchasing the fire engine. I know you and I have talked in the past about, additional substation on the other side of town and that. So I just want to have that kind of conversation, see what you're thinking. I know we have new leadership coming in, but I think just having this kind of conversation of why we got to here, what the thought and process is, just so the public knows versus, when we're trying to, 300,000, or excuse me, 280, now almost $300,000 of impact fees if we're going towards a fire engine versus are we trying to save up for an actual new station on the other side of town and that. So I just want to kind of pick your brain and see why this direction, so to speak.
Okay, sure. You want my version of why I wanted to go this direction on the impact fees versus budgeting, using budgeted money for the purchase of this?
Yep, instead of saving the impact fees for going towards that new fire station substation like we have in the CIP project.
Okay, so my take on this is in one case, we've got a shelf life on our impact fees as it is. I know that anything that we're looking at by doing substation or a main station is going to be something that is going to be cost prohibitive and not going to be met in the duration of the impact fee lifespan. What I was hoping to accomplish is right now that one of the identified things in the impact fee study was that we put forth 2 structure engines in that as well, along with the SCBA. So it fit that bill, checked that box. And it also, it allows us, so we're going to have to come up with alternate funding no matter what we do, in my estimation, my opinion. So we're going to have that, but we're also going to have a need for an immediate need right now. I see it as an immediate need for this truck. Hence, we put forward, and you guys were gracious enough to let us proceed with the purchase of that truck. This is also in terms with um, working with a 60-40 split with the rural on this thing. So in terms of cost, meeting their needs, meeting our needs, and also being able to use money budgeted for other needs here currently and use these impact fees versus pushing them out going forward at the risk of losing them. I thought it would be a good use of the funds.
And I know we implemented, Mayor,
Councilman?
since we implemented that 2021, so you were saying the expiration of those funds being the 8 years. So I know we're coming up closer to it. I just was looking for the new substation and that we had the amount included. It was around, $340,000. I know you had the new fire station, you're listing it at 2.5 million and that. So if I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying it's your expert advice that the engine is more needed right now than a substation on the other side of town.
Yeah, that's my opinion. Absolutely, yes.
And then, Councilman, there's also the allotted 300,000. Didn't they budget 300,000 for a substation or land or something? Your budget?
Yeah, that is correct. We have the money that's been carried over for the next budget cycle for that to allow for some things. And also, to be honest, with the new chief coming in and his view on things like that, I'm just saying that we can, in my conversations with him, he has some experience with this type of growth and things that he's done in the past. I don't know his experience, can't speak to any impact fee usage, but he's in agreement with our conversation today in terms of this as well.
Mayor.
Councilman?
Oh, it's good to know because again, that was something that I know for next year's budget, we had the 300,000 with these impact fees. Looks like, talks that we've had with EMS in the past and that in the county to try and maybe look towards cost sharing when it comes to a station. So that's really where I'm trying to figure out. And I appreciate your input on that. Is this are we looking at an engine or are we looking at a substation, out on that side? So it sounds like from you that it's the engine piece that you think moving forward, right?
Councilman McCarthy, that's correct.
Okay.
Councilman, I did have a conversation with Alan Roberts and we did talk substation. They definitely want one out there as well. And that hence with the chem vehicle or ambulance, they want to definitely house an ambulance in said substation. So hopefully look forward to more communication with Alan Roberts and the commissioners moving forward, trying to get a substation filled out there.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, council. Any other questions for outgoing Chief Moore?
Friday's the day.
While you're in the hot seat, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for all the things you've done for us. I appreciate it.
Appreciate that. It's been very, very pleasurable working with council and former council as well for me.
So really quick, tell them about the WUI. It's not just it's not just going out in the desert, but this thing is kind of like a fire engine on steroids, shorter wheelbase, so you can get it into tighter corners in, let's say, a urban, like a really compacted housing unit. Or when he was sat there and explained all these things to me, that's kind of like the fire truck of the future. Am I off base on that?
No, I mean, it's my considered opinion. It was, and not just my considered opinion, everybody involved in the process of this thing through research and through just our needs with our topography that we have, our growth, where it's going, it's all going, it's pushing out to the desert. But this thing it does have pump and roll capabilities. It has full structure capabilities. It will reflect that on our ISRB rating. And it's a great help it's a win-win. It helps the rural, it helps that. And to be honest with you, I think that there's going to be a need, if that need arises, for use out even at the airport.
Oh, it's got a foaming capability now
Yes.
to it, which is a gun nozzle.
Yeah, it has a turret on the front of it that you can spray foam and do that. You can do it with houses or whatever. So I mean, it does have all those capabilities, and it's the future.
So it was 750, right? Ish.
It's 735 rough numbers, and we got discounts. So
But then a new, like a regular fire truck is like $1.5 million, right?
yeah, they're going north of $1 million right now. And the other thing about them is they're also, they're not catching up very quick as far as their build goes. So to me, it's a no-brainer.
Just food for thought. I just want you guys to know it's pretty cool. If you want to go see it, it's over at the fire station.
Mhm.
So with that, council, what do you guys want to do? A motion to approve fire department's request to expend the impact fee funds for payment of the wildland urban interface fire engine. Mayor, Councilman Harjo. Make a motion to approve the fire department's request to expend impact fee funds for the payment of wildland interface fire engine.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Sanders.
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy.
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla.
Aye.
Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna run down to number 11, approve fire
CBA.
department request to expend impact fee funds for payment of the 5 self-contained breathing apparatus, SCBA's for wild urban land interface fire engine.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders.
my questions have been answered. I'll move. We approve the fire department's request to expend impact fee funds for the payment of 5 self-contained breathing apparatus for the wildland urban interface fire engine.
Second. It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla.
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy.
Aye.
Councilman Sanders.
Aye.
All right. Approve Idaho Power's request to exercise the lease extension of Bennett Mountain Industrial Substation Yard leasing and authorize an execution for any required documents. Councilwoman Workla, I think that one was yours.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Mayor. So it sounds like they want to, so the current contract was for 1 year, and I want to then extend the lease term for additional 5 years. But as we just did with the county, everything within time goes up. When I owned a business, it was called a rent rider fee. I don't know what it's called with this, but I feel like there should be a certain percentage of increase with this lease every year. I would put out to council what do they think about a 5% increase every year?
Council members got an opinion on that one?
Fair.
Councilman McCarthy?
I guess I would check with legal first, just because of the the facial expression. Looks like the gears are turning, so.
I'm just thinking in my head whether there's something with the franchise agreement on what.
Well, this isn't franchise. It's that lay down yard that's temporary that can be terminated at any time with 30-day notice.
Okay.
But
Mayor,
Go ahead, Councilwoman Workla.
and I did check with Jeff on this. I sent him this exercise of lease extension option and asked his opinion, and he says it's common and it's totally up to what you and council can negotiate. So I just want to clarify, I did check with legal.
Councilman McCarthy?
I would be in favor of the increase, 5%.
That's the body. Mayor. Councilman Harjo?
And that response kind of interesting in the sense that in the lease signed in 2025, there's no mechanism to achieve that. And this is an extension of that lease under those terms. I'm definitely not opposed to approaching it. Just curious if we're going to bump up against some issues.
So council, do you want to pull this one and have me ask the question to Idaho Power of how that looks, or have legal draft something and send that to you to see how that looks?
Mayor,
Councilman Sanders?
since this appears to be an open discussion with no item for us to take action on at this point, no motion. I will note for the council members that the way this lease currently is designed, if they want to execute the option for 5 years, we would expect full payment of each of the 5 years at the time of the execution of the extension. That's the way this is written. It also is written so that they end the need for that property early. They can vacate the property and we give them back a prorated amount of what they had paid. That mechanism being in place and keeping in mind their generosity of late, I'm inclined to leave the document as is.
Mayor,
Councilwoman Workla?
there is no harm in asking, and you don't know until you ask. So if they came back and said absolutely not, then we can take it from there. But I don't want to get into the habit of just, or the expectation of, let's just keep a set amount. And I agree with you, Councilman Harjo, what the terms were initially. But again, this is coming back to us. We can readdress this. We can negotiate. I don't see any harm in trying to negotiate, especially when we know everything increases a certain percentage every year. So, again, I'm not trying to, go after Idaho Power. They have been very good to us. However, you don't know until you ask. And so I'm going to stand on with, increasing at 5% every year. What does the other two council members feel?
Picked and we shoot with the 5%. It's fine. I read it. It's 12 a year. And then
Yeah.
because it was only a 1 year, the extension of the 2025, adding, a COLA basically. That doesn't run afoul of the 2025 either, because you wouldn't have that because it was a 1 year.
How,
Asking.
however, I don't see where they would pay it in the lump sum as Councilman Sanders references.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders.
in section 1, it talks about the amount due and payable upon execution of this lease for use and occupancy in the previous above term. They agreed to modify prior to the expiration of each option term with its intent to extend the term and make rental payment at that time. So at the moment they say we want to extend, and the option we currently have in language is for the 5 years, and they are to pay at the time they extend, then I would expect full payment for the 5 years at that time.
Mayor and council, I would ask that we not do that considering the proration. This land that they're wanting to do, we've also been working to plat out ourselves. So this in itself, that's why it has a 30-day term in it, because at any point the city may say, sorry, you can't store your stuff here any longer, if that makes sense.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Sanders?
Also, if there is a percentage of increase added, if we don't significantly change the structure of this document, then you might as well be passing the same thing we just passed with the other agreement where we put in a mandatory 5%. And then that amount of increase each year would be calculated into the upfront payment as well.
There is no proposed, it's this.
It's just that.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
If there's going to be a 2026 renewal document, addendum, as it were, would need to have the addendum. What Decker is saying is accurate, because we're changing the terms. In fact, they are changing the terms by asking it from being a 1 to a 5. It's a different document. And so there should be an addendum, you've seen it before. Idaho Power Company lease addendum number 1.
Yeah.
All terms of the 2025 remain in full force and effect, except for A, B, C, and then A, 5%. B, maybe you don't want it 12,000 times 5, which is 60,000 payable upfront and doesn't. And so there are things there that.
Theirs is not to exceed a 5 years, so you can deny this request.
And
Your
then
action can be to deny it. When I go back and tell her, I'm gonna say the max they'll do is a 1 year with a 5%. And then, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Or we just bring it back with an addendum. I could write it. I mean, you just bring it back with an addendum.
So council, is that what you're wanting to bring it back, have council or
Or you do
counselor,
1 year renewal.
Fitzer, bring it back with a 5% increase on a 5-year term,
No 5-year term.
just 1-year terms,
Mayor and council, we've been working to plat that property.
right?
So,
Oh, touche, you're right.
yeah.
Mayor,
prefer not.
Councilwoman Workla?
so to clarify, we could bring it back a 1-year term because like what Tiffany just said, but with a 5% increase.
Correct.
Mayor.
Councilman Harjo?
Paul, are we able to achieve the 1-year contract based on the fact that the previous contract states that this can be extended for up to 5 years? In a new iteration or an addendum to this, we would have to spell that out pretty
And
precisely.
I would say that again, like, the way this says, this is a 1 year with the 5 more. Now this would be a 1 year with renewable 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. So you have to keep repassing it every year.
Understood.
So it almost keep the same length. Yeah, we contemplate you're gonna be here for 5 years. But then see here on the poison pill clause where we can terminate it again.
Understood. Thank you.
Mayor.
Councilwoman Workla?
So I think everyone knows where I stand. 5% increase for 1 year, and then we'll reevaluate it the following year. And have legal draft it for Paul, would it be next meeting or is that too soon?
Yeah, next meeting is fine.
Okay. That's
So is that a
that's my-
motion, Councilwoman?
Do I need to make, yeah, is
Oh,
this
no,
an
we have to
action
deny
item?
it, right?
Yeah, this item is,
You deny it.
you're not going to approve their request.
Okay. So Mayor,
Councilwoman Workla?
I'm gonna make a motion to deny Idaho Power's request to exercise the lease extension for Bennett Mountain Industrial Substaging Yard lease and the required documents.
Do I have a second?
Mayor,
Councilman Harjo?
would the motion maker entertain adding the context of
Yeah, sorry, yes.
reapproaching new contract?
Mayor, thank you.
Councilwoman Workla, you're good.
Yeah, that would be smart. Thank you. Yes. And so, in addition to then having legal draft up for their next council meeting, a new agreement for a 1-year lease extension at a 5% increase.
Second.
The motion and seconded. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders?
if in our packet is the in-force agreement currently now,
Yes, sir.
that first paragraph gives them this current year lease with option to extend this lease at the leasee's discretion, not the leaseor's, for a period not to exceed 5 additional years.
Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
I know where you're about, so let me finish your thought. So what this means, you quit laughing at me.
No, because you and I both just read that.
Yeah,
same
we just
thing.
read it. So what this means is they're asking for 5 years. You don't have to give them 5 years. It says for a period not to exceed 5 additional years. But Jenny, what it does mean is that last year we agreed that it was 12,000. And so the way I'm reading this, and then again, correct me if I'm wrong here, if you would see it differently, is lessee agrees to pay the lessor the sum of $12,000. Got it. Due and payable, blah, 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 and the rest of it's not important. Now I go back to the first paragraph. This is for a period of 1 year commencing on blah, blah, blah. And then at lessee's discretion for a period not to exceed 5 additional years. They want 5 right now. We're not necessarily, I mean,
It's not our option.
it's our option to say not to, what you're saying, it's lessee's option.
And our only option is to poison pill it and come back to them with a new agreement.
Which would be, let's see, the
30 days, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, but theirs is not to exceed.
You'd have to do it today or actually.
Yeah, so lessee has lessor, excuse me, has the right to terminate this lease prior to the expiration, giving 60 days written notice to lessee. Lessee shall not be entitled to a blah, blah, blah. So yeah, so what we're, all right. Thank you. What this means is 12,000 a year. They have it for 1 year. Lessee, at lessee's option, it could be extended for up to a period of 5 years. So lessee gets to decide if it's 1, 3, or 5. And if we wish to do the 5%, saying, then what we're basically saying is, no, we're denying your request for 5 years at 12 grand a year because we think it should go up by 5% each year. So we're exercising our 60-day notice that will terminate this particular agreement. And then we could renew it, bring it back, but we're going to renew it with 1 year terms of 5% or 5 years, but it's 5% every year. So that, yeah. Whoever wrote this contract, I want to shoot them. Hope it wasn't me.
It's Paul Fitzer,
Mayor,
Councilwoman Workla.
so is my motion then not gonna stand? How we
Well, you
read it?
discuss it further. It needs to be discussed further. You approve what they have got right here. B, you deny this and direct clerk or mayor to exercise a 60-day termination with an invitation to bring the same agreement back,
Okay.
but with 1 year, 5% increased terms.
Okay. So, Mayor,
Councilwoman Workla.
oh, this is painful. Okay, so, let's try this again. All right, so I'll make a motion. Can I cancel my previous motion? Can I?
There was a motion and a second. So what do we
Yeah.
gotta do?
Can I
The maker of the motion would withdraw
withdraw?
the consent of the
Okay.
second.
Mayor, I will withdraw my motion.
Okay.
Mayor, I will make a motion to, okay, now help me here, Paul, to approve, would I say, okay, to approve the current contract with the stipulations that, no, not approve, deny, okay.
Right.
Well, we got to come back because we're approving it, but we got, so it can do the 60-day window.
Let me spoon feed it for you.
All right, do it.
I hereby move to deny whatever it is, consent item number, blah, blah, blah. Directing mayor, directing the mayor to invoke the 60-day termination clause with an invitation to Idaho Power to enact a new agreement with 5% increase on the $12,000 rent for either a 1 year or a 5